5 worst Auschwitz guards exposed. Ever pondered the question of how a single place could become a theater of unimaginable suffering and cruelty? Auschwitz, the hauntingly infamous Nazi concentration and extermination camp from the dark days of World War II. Within its dark confines, a legion of guards and officials oversaw the torment and demise of countless innocent souls. Today, we unveil the stories of 5 of the most notorious Auschwitz guards, shedding light on their deeds of infamy and the justice that eventually caught up with them. Number 5. Herma Graa. She emerged as a woman shrouded in the shadows of a haunting World War II past. Her early days were spent in a quaint, quiet German town where her childhood was marked by hardships. At a young age, Herma joined the SS and was assigned to work at Auschwitz, a notorious concentration camp. In this role, she contributed to the suffering and death of many innocent people, mainly around 30,000 Jewish women prisoners. She gained a terrible reputation for extreme cruelty. Believing Jewish people to be inferior, she forced other prisoners to witness their torment. She possessed a whip, causing some prisoners severe injuries and even death. Additionally, she carried a firearm, sometimes randomly killing prisoners. Helpless prisoners were also subjected to fierce dog attacks, resulting in gruesome injuries. Furthermore, Graa also took pleasure in mentally tormenting prisoners, subjecting them to prolonged exposure to extreme weather during roll calls, regardless of their health, and tested their resilience. Anyone who defied her faced severe punishments. Herma had another terrible job. She had to choose prisoners who couldn't work and send them to die in gas chambers. Many prisoners tried to hide their sickness from her during inspections. She would hurt them while checking them over. This shy girl from a farm had turned into a very cruel person who helped with the Holocaust, where millions of Jewish people and others were killed. When the Soviet armies came to Germany, the SS tried to hide what they did in the concentration camps. They moved prisoners to other camps far away, and many prisoners died on the way. In March 1945, Graa went to Bergen-Belsen camp. A month later, the British and Canadian armies came and freed the prisoners. In September 1945, Graa was put on trial for her actions in Auschwitz and Bergen-Belsen. She denied doing bad things and never apologized. She had a trial with 44 others who also did terrible things. She was found guilty and hanged on December 13, 1945, at just 22 years old. She believed in a very hateful idea and helped with a terrible crime against many people. Number 4. Karl Friedrich. He was one of the early guards at Nazi concentration camps, and his role was deeply entwined with the gruesome selection and execution of prisoners. Friedrich played a pivotal part in the horrifying selections that determined the fates of inmates. These selections involved deciding who would be forced into slave labor, who would face grueling experiments, and who would be sentenced to the gas chambers. He callously separated families, choosing who would live and who would die, causing immense suffering and heartbreak. One of the most notorious acts associated with Friedrich occurred at Auschwitz, where he subjected prisoners to merciless punishments. He was particularly infamous for introducing a method of punishment known as the Fahrrad, or the bicycle, where a prisoner would be suspended by their wrists, often resulting in excruciating pain and long-lasting injuries. Furthermore, Friedrich was complicit in the systematic execution of thousands of innocent people, orchestrating mass shootings and gas chamber killings. Karl Friedrich's involvement in the selection and execution of prisoners, along with his sadistic acts of punishment and murder, paints a horrifying picture of inhumanity. The details of Friedrich's fate, including whether he faced justice for his actions, remain unclear. Number 3. Friedrich Woch. He was another guard at Auschwitz, deeply involved in the brutal mistreatment and execution of prisoners. His actions during his time at Auschwitz were marked by extreme cruelty. Woch actively participated in the horrifying activities at the concentration camp. He was notorious for his role in the selection process, where he helped decide who would be sent to the gas chambers and who would be forced into slave labor. His cruelty extended to the use of violence against the inmates, often beating and tormenting them without reason. He seemed to take pleasure in causing suffering, leading prisoners to fear him deeply. In addition to physical abuse, Woch was known for releasing ferocious dogs on helpless inmates, resulting in gruesome attacks and severe injuries. His actions were described by survivors as sadistic, earning him a reputation as one of the most vicious guards at Auschwitz. His cruelty went beyond what was considered acceptable even within the brutal context of the camp. Friedrich Woch's activities at Auschwitz were deeply disturbing, causing immense pain and suffering to countless prisoners. After the end of World War II, Woch, like many other former Auschwitz staff, faced consequences for his actions. He was arrested and put on trial. Number 2. Rudolph Hos. Rudolph Hos, as the commandant of Auschwitz during World War II, played a central role in implementing the Holocaust and the mass murder of countless Jews. He received direct orders from Heinrich Himmler in 1941 to carry out the final solution and chose Auschwitz as the primary location for this genocidal plan due to its convenient rail access and ample space. Hos was sworn to secrecy regarding the extermination process. Under Hos's leadership, Auschwitz became the epicenter of the Holocaust, where 2 to 3 trains carrying 2,000 prisoners each arrived daily. These prisoners were subjected to a ruthless selection process, with those fit for slave labor allowed to live, while the elderly, infirm, children, and mothers with children were sent to the gas chambers. Hos experimented with various gassing methods, eventually settling on Zyklon B, which could kill victims in a matter of minutes. His cruelty extended to personal matters as well, as he engaged in a sexual relationship with a political prisoner, leading to her pregnancy and eventual abortion. This scandal may have contributed to his reassignment in 1943. Hos briefly returned to Auschwitz in 1944 to oversee the mass murder of 430,000 Hungarian Jews in Operation Hos. The sheer volume of victims overwhelmed the camp's capacity, leading to mass executions and the burning of bodies in open pits. Hos's final role was at Ravensbrück concentration camp, where he continued overseeing the killings, responsible for the deaths of over 2,000 female prisoners. After the war, Hos was captured by Allied forces, tried, and sentenced to death. Number 1. Yosef Mangala, infamously known as the Angel of Death. He was an Auschwitz physician during World War II who conducted horrific and inhumane medical experiments on prisoners held at the Auschwitz concentration camp. Born in 1911 in Germany, Mangala studied medicine and earned a Ph.D. in physical anthropology before joining the SS. Mangala's experiments were a gruesome testament to the depths of human cruelty. He conducted a range of horrifying procedures on inmates, often without anesthesia or any regard for their suffering. These experiments included vivisections, where he dissected living subjects without any form of pain relief. He also performed barbaric twin studies, forcing twins to undergo surgeries and injections to observe the effects on one while using the other as a control. Mangala was obsessed with eugenics and conducted experiments in an attempt to create a master race. He subjected prisoners to genetic testing, sterilization procedures, and attempts to change their eye colors through painful injections. The results of these experiments were usually fatal or left the victims permanently scarred, both physically and mentally. Furthermore, he had a chilling habit of selecting who would live and who would die with a mere flick of his finger during the camp's selections. Those deemed unfit for slave labor were often immediately sent to the gas chambers. After the war, he managed to evade capture and lived in hiding until his death in 1979, evading justice for his unspeakable crimes. So, it's important to remember why those individuals committed evil deeds, as understanding their motives can help us prevent such actions in the future. History teaches us valuable lessons, reminding us not to repeat past atrocities. So let's take a moment to reflect on the lessons from this video and work towards a better future together. And if you found this content valuable, please subscribe to our channel for more insightful discussions.